Oregon's had a really easy schedule. Let's call it what it is.
Well, they played Ohio State.
Outside of that, who they played? Oh, shut up, Clint.
Let's get into our first question for the evening. We're going to start doing some speculation here. Well, I guess we do speculation every week, but the question is, with this current situation. So Ohio State's lost to Oregon. They have to beat Indiana. So the options are, you've got 4 teams in what this article said. I'm bringing this article from CBS Sports. You've got 4 teams in prime positions to claim a spot in the Big Ten championship game, with a very complex tiebreaker scenario possible. The tiebreaker scenario is a 4-way tie among one-loss teams and a 3-way tie for second place among one-loss teams. So head-to-head records, in case of ties, head-to-head records among the tied teams will be the first tiebreaker. College football playoff implications are that teams missing out on the Big Ten championship game could still be well-positioned for the CFP, especially if their losses are to strong opponents like Ohio State, is what the article says. So the Big Ten has 4 teams in the top 5. And again, that's Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Indiana. Who is going to that championship game? Who are we going to see in Indianapolis?
Indiana and Oregon.
So, before the season started, all right? Before the season started, I predicted that in order for Ohio State to fulfill their goals, and one of them being the Big Ten championship, they were going to have to lose early on in the season because there was just too much hype with the media, too much sunshine going on where there were some dark clouds in Columbus, and their early loss happened in a heartbreaking way against Oregon in Autzen Stadium by 1 point, and Ohio State has been impressive since, especially when they traveled to Happy Valley. Ryan Day finally got his top 5 covered win. And what's impressive about this, you guys call me the research guy. I got my research right here. So, what's really impressive and what's going to win them this is their balance. They're getting back to balance on offense. We've always known they have a strong passing attack, but now that they've figured it out on the offensive line, they're going to have a good running attack as well with Junkins Henderson. But the other thing is they are currently the number 2 ranked defense in the country, number 7 rush, number 8 pass defense. And this last stat right here on defense is what is going to win them games. And that is the red zone defense. They're number 4 in the country. Very impressive against Nebraska and very impressive against Penn State. And that is what won them those games against Nebraska and Penn State. Nebraska had 3 trips to the red zone. 4. They got stopped 4th and goal. They had to kick field goals, and my prediction for that game was they can't kick field goals. They got to get in the end zone, and Ohio State denied them. And Penn State, that critical last 4th and goal stop, very impressive. It was a crucial turning point in the game. I was there. I saw a lot of fans leave after that. They're like, "Man, if we're not we had 4 tries to get it in. We didn't do it. We're not beating the Buckeyes once again." So I think that Ohio State is going to march on to the Big Ten championship and get the revenge against Oregon. Because if we look at that Oregon game, Ohio State had not yet even close to play their best football, and they lost by 1 point after all the miscues, that injury to Simmons on his way to being an All-American, possibly a first, second round pick. It's unfortunate that his knee gave out, but I just see this new aggressiveness, this new Ohio State team ever since that loss. And Indiana, after their game against Michigan, is looking a lot more mortal, like more beatable. Like they haven't faced an elite team yet. I'm saying so. Michigan, no offense, Michigan's an average team. They have a really good defense, but I just think Indiana looks more beatable. And also, Ryan Day is making a lot of the right moves that I predicted that he should. And one of the big things I saw is he's going for it more on fourth downs and in key situations.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
he's his sorry, but his balls are dropping. Remember the last time I came on the show, I said Ryan Day's balls need to drop, and you guys said
They dropped.
they dropped. I mean, against Oregon inside their own 40, won for it twice, and then Penn State. Like he understands the big situations now, and he really handled himself well during the Penn State game. And he finally has surrounded himself. Looks like the right people. So Ohio State will go on to win the Big Ten championship.
Okay, but like, here's the thing though. 35-7 against Iowa, 38-7 against Michigan State, 49-14 against Marshall is probably their worst performance of the season until Nebraska. 56-0 against Western Michigan, 52-6 against Akron. Now, the super intense rivalry with Akron aside, are any of those teams good? No. The correct answer is no. So I understand that this
are you going to hold Indiana to that same standard?
Well, you don't even know what standard I'm going for, so hold on a second.
I'm just asking.
No, hold on a second. None of those teams are any good.
Yeah.
And Ohio State blew them all out. So how is Ohio State like not playing very well until they get to Oregon, and then they lose by 1 point to Oregon? I think, in my opinion, I don't think Oregon was even playing that good of football until they hit Ohio State either.
I think that's the best you're going to see from Oregon. Dan Lanning threw the kitchen sink at that team, and they only lost by 1.
I tend to agree with that.
They've been throwing those dunk and dink passes pretty much all season until Ohio State, and then they decide they're going to throw bombs. They just stopped.
No, they haven't thrown those bombs since the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people. And just to answer the question, I have Ohio State and Oregon there. Indiana's a good team. I'm not going to take anything from them. I love Indiana. I love everything they represent. Coming to this week, I told Bryce on our show, this as down as I've been on Michigan, and though they probably don't have the best record on that schedule against Indiana, that's the most talented team they're about to play. Michigan is. And so a lot of what how I saw our game against Indiana is about what I took away from that game specifically. I think we're going to dog walk them. And it's not because they're a bad team. They're just not built for it. At the same time, when we talk about that Oregon game, and when Rob just said about throwing the kitchen sink, ever since that game ended, they have not thrown the ball downfield. And when a lot of people keep talking about, they keep saying Ohio State's secondary got torched in that game. Davis and Igbenogson, Jordan Hancock, Ransom, and Caleb Downs together gave up 162 yards. Burke gave up 179 by himself on 8 of 8. So it's let's be honest here. We can all trash Burke. Buckeye fans have done it. I did it. He ain't playing that bad again. He's not. And so I just, when it comes to Ohio State, man, I think we're hitting our stride. I think that we've had 2 weeks in a row. I don't care who it's against because we haven't had it all year. 2 weeks in a row, we've gone over 170 yards a game. Travion Henderson just clocked in 14 a carry on a long of 29.
Ohio State has yet to break 100 yards rushing in a game. Nope, I'm sorry. Judkins did it against Western Michigan and against Marshall, but that's it.
Yeah. Guess how many carries each of them average a game?
How many?
Judkins averages 11. Trey averages about 10.
Okay, so it's pass first.
Because no, it's not even pass first. We don't need them. But we play them. We score. We get off the field. By the time of the end of the season, specifically this November, you got to run the ball in the Midwest. We all know that. Michigan fans know that. Ohio State fans know that. Quinshon Judkins before this season was averaging 18 carries a game. He had 163 carries last year and 163 his freshman year. He's not doing that. He has 7 less carries than per game now. These guys are gonna be fresh. And the truth, and a lot of people don't know this. I think our third string could start for half the conference. I think James Peebles could start for a lot of teams right now. So I think he can start for you guys.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I mean, Will Howard. I told Bryce this, and he agrees with me. One of these days, we gotta have a real conversation about why he's not in the Heisman conversation. There needs to be a real conversation about that. I mean, you have Jeremiah. I think this team is just where they need to be. Just where they need to be. And by the time the season comes to an end, there will be one. And I went full bore on Sunday. I'm gonna do it for you guys here. I'm gonna do it for you guys here too. There will be one. I'm watching a lot.
What?
There will be one. There will be one team at the end. I know
that's how it works.
and I know who it's gonna be.
It's going to be Indiana. We all know it's going to be Indiana. Just say it.
If Indiana, listen, dude, if I see Indiana win a national championship in my lifetime, the Lord can come take me now.
Well, then you won't see it.
Was Bob Knight coaching them? Like, no. No.
Could you imagine like Kirk Cincinnati throwing a chair onto the field? Just
That'd be amazing.
I would love it.
Or maybe he could go full Woody and knock out a Clemson player. That'd be great.
Do you want a Bo joke or no? Are the airwaves okay for this?
Keep it PG.
No,
All right,
like I said, but no. I think that Oregon and Ohio. I mean, Oregon's had a really easy schedule. Let's call it what it is.
Well, they played Ohio State.
Outside of that, who they played? Shut up, Clint.
Okay, well, follow-up question then. You got something, Mac?
Yeah,
right,
look, all right, I understand that, a snowball has a better chance in hell than Indiana has of beating Ohio State, probably. But the thing is this. If you think that Dan Lanning threw the kitchen sink at Ohio State to beat them, Indiana's just going to do the same thing. Indiana has nothing to lose and everything to gain. So they're going to do anything and everything they possibly could. You say Denzel Burke gave up 179 yards by himself. Oregon put up 500 yards of offense against Ohio State in that game. So where did the other 310 yards come from? It came from everybody else. So my thing is that Indiana likes to throw the ball around too. Indiana's really, really good at it. I mean, Rourke's got 2,400 yards passing. He's got 200 yards passing. He's got 200 more yards passing, than Will Howard with one less touchdown with the same number of completions. So he's having a pretty comparable season to Will Howard. Now, if you look at their schedules, I think that it's pretty simple. I think Ohio State has the stronger strength of schedule for sure. But my thing is that Indiana's got nothing to lose. Indiana's going to do anything and everything they possibly can to win this game. And I think that Ryan Day is really good at beating who he needs to beat and losing to who he should lose to. Indiana has a chance to completely buck that standard because Indiana is now a bit of a curveball here. Indiana is Indiana, but Indiana is 10-0 and ranked number 8 in the nation. So what's going to happen is Ryan Day's record, poor record against top 10 teams, going to come back to bite him, or is he going to beat Indiana? Because at the end of the day, Indiana is Indiana. The problem is, though, is that this is not your grandpa or your Indiana team. This is a brand new Indiana team with a coach who does not care. He will destroy you. He does not care that he's at IU. He doesn't care that IU is a basketball school. He's going to do whatever he needs to win, and they've got the roster to do it. You say Ohio State's got a deeper roster than most of the Big Ten. That's absolutely true. The game's still only 60 minutes long. If they can strategize in a way that shortens the game, they can do it. They
But they don't play
absolutely
like that,
can do
Matt.
it.
They don't play like that, Matt.
But here's
They
the thing.
can.
Here's the thing, man.
Can they?
Oregon has more talent. Indiana doesn't even come close to the talent that Oregon has. Not even close. And we saw what happened when they ran into a competent defense. Michigan has a really good defense. And if Michigan had a quarterback, they would have beaten Indiana.
The game was over. The game was over if
Yeah,
they had a
but-
quarterback.
Sam Hartman's looking downfield for AJ.
Oh! Carter almost has a one-handed catch.
Almost. That was